The quinoa bowls didn't work. The expensive protein powders, the carefully tracked macros, the organic everything. People living in places like Okinawa and Sardinia never heard of keto or paleo, never counted a single calorie, never stepped into a supplement store. And yet, they're reaching 100 years old with sharp minds, strong bodies, and arteries that look decades younger than their chronological age. Meanwhile, people eating what they believe are perfect diets are inflamed, exhausted, gaining weight around the middle, and watching their blood work drift toward prediabetes and cardiovascular disease. Here's what Nobel Prize-winning researchers discovered that changes everything. The longest-lived people on Earth aren't eating more superfoods. They're activating something inside their cells that most modern diets completely shut down. A biological cleanup system so powerful it can reverse years of metabolic damage, protect DNA from deterioration, and keep the immune system functioning like it did in youth. And the foods that turn this system on? They're not exotic, they're not expensive, but they are completely misunderstood. Let me show you what's really happening inside your body right now, and why the gap between what you think is healthy and what actually extends lifespan is wider than you realize. The cellular cleanup system you're accidentally disabling. Your body has a built-in anti-aging program. It's called autophagy, and in 2016, a Japanese researcher named Yoshinori Osumi won the Nobel Prize in Medicine for discovering exactly how it works. Think of autophagy as your body's waste management system. Every single day, your cells accumulate damaged proteins, dysfunctional mitochondria, and cellular debris. Left unchecked, this waste piles up like garbage in a city where the trucks stopped running. Slowly, inflammation rises, energy production drops, systems begin to fail. Autophagy is what sweeps all of that away. It recycles the broken parts, clears out the damage, and gives your cells the raw materials to rebuild stronger structures. This process doesn't just make you feel better. It directly prevents cancer, neurodegeneration, immune decline, and metabolic disease. It is one of the most powerful longevity mechanisms we have. Here's the problem. Autophagy only turns on when your body receives specific signals, and modern eating patterns send the exact opposite signal all day long. Every time you eat, even healthy food, your insulin rises. Insulin tells your body, we're in building mode, growth mode, no need to clean up right now. That's fine occasionally. Growth is important. But when you're eating breakfast at 7 a.m., snacking at 10 a.m., lunch at noon, another snack at 3 p.m., dinner at 7 p.m., and dessert at 9 p.m., you're keeping insulin elevated for 16 hours straight. Your cells never get the signal to activate cleanup mode. It's like constantly adding rooms to a house without ever repairing the foundation. Eventually, the structure becomes unstable. Now here's where this gets interesting. Populations that live the longest, the people studied in regions called blue zones, don't snack constantly. They don't eat 6 small meals a day. They eat simple, whole food meals. They stop before they feel completely full. And they give their bodies long overnight breaks, sometimes 12 to 14 hours, where insulin drops and autophagy turns on. They didn't know the science behind it, but their traditional eating patterns accidentally activated the exact biological pathways that slow aging. The first shift, then, isn't about what you eat, it's about when you stop eating. The timing protocol that activates longevity genes. Let me give you a practical framework you can start using today. Finish dinner by 7 p.m. Don't eat again until 7 or 9 a.m. the next morning. That's a 12 to 14 hour overnight fasting window. During those hours, especially in the later part of the night, your insulin drops, your growth hormone rises, and autophagy ramps up. Your cells begin cleaning out damaged components, repairing DNA, and strengthening mitochondria. This isn't starvation, this is strategic meal spacing, and it mirrors exactly what long-lived populations do naturally. Now, when you do eat, the first meal of the day matters more than most people realize. If you start with sugary cereal, pastries, or fruit juice, your insulin spikes hard and shuts down autophagy immediately. You lose hours of cellular repair. But if you start with a protein-forward meal, eggs, Greek yogurt, nuts, beans, your insulin rises gently and you extend the benefits of that overnight cleanup window. Late night eating is even more damaging. When you eat at 9 or 10 p.m., you're spiking insulin right when your body is trying to release melatonin, regulate growth hormone, and repair tissues. You disrupt sleep quality, impair metabolic flexibility, and accelerate aging at the cellular level. The timing of your meals, it turns out, might be just as important as the content. And that brings us to what you should actually be eating. Because certain foods send longevity signals that go far beyond basic nutrition. The greens that contain 10 times the anti-aging compounds of red wine. In Ikaria, one of the blue zones where people routinely live past 100, residents forage more than 75 varieties of wild greens. These aren't iceberg lettuce. These are dark, bitter, nutrient-dense leaves like dandelion greens, wild fennel, mustard greens, and purslane. And laboratory analysis revealed something shocking. Many of these greens contain up to 10 times the polyphenols, the plant compounds linked to longevity, found in red wine. Polyphenols do something extraordinary inside your cells. They activate a family of longevity genes called sirtuins. These genes regulate DNA repair, reduce inflammation, improve mitochondrial function, and protect against age-related diseases. But here's the key. Sirtuins don't activate when life is easy. They activate under mild stress. This is a concept called hormesis, a small amount of beneficial stress that makes your body stronger. Think of it like exercise for your cells. When you lift weights, you create tiny tears in muscle fibers. Your body responds by rebuilding those fibers stronger than before. Polyphenols create a similar kind of stress at the cellular level. Not damaging stress, strengthening stress. Leafy greens, especially the darker and more bitter varieties, are loaded with these compounds. Kale, arugula, Swiss chard, collard greens, spinach, dandelion greens. Eating a generous serving of these daily, raw or lightly cooked, sends powerful anti-aging signals to your cells. But greens are just the beginning. Another food category dominates every single blue zone diet, and it's something most people dramatically undereat. The cornerstone food that stabilizes insulin and feeds longevity bacteria. Beans, lentils, chickpeas, black beans, kidney beans. In Okinawa, Sardinia, Ikaria, Nicoya, and Loma Linda, the 5 regions where people live the longest, beans are eaten almost every single day. Not as a side dish, as a foundational part of the meal. Here's why that matters. Beans are packed with fiber, plant protein, and resistant starch. When you eat them, your blood sugar rises slowly and steadily, not in a sharp spike. This keeps insulin stable throughout the day, which protects your cells from the metabolic damage that accelerates aging. But there's something even more important happening in your gut. Beans feed specific strains of bacteria that produce short-chain fatty acids, compounds that reduce inflammation, strengthen your immune system, and improve metabolic health. These bacteria are more abundant in centenarians than in the average population, and their presence is directly linked to lower rates of heart disease, diabetes, and cognitive decline. Most people eat beans once or twice a week, if that. Blue zone populations eat them daily, a half cup to a full cup per day. It's not a coincidence that these are the same populations with the lowest rates of heart disease and the highest number of people living past 100. Now, let me tell you about another food group that works through a completely different mechanism. One that creates a kind of cellular stress so beneficial it can actually reprogram how your body ages. The cruciferous vegetables that trigger cellular repair through stress. Broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, kale. These vegetables contain a compound called sulforaphane, and sulforaphane does something remarkable. It activates a cellular stress response pathway called NRF2. When NRF2 turns on, it triggers the production of antioxidant enzymes and detoxification proteins. Your cells essentially build stronger defenses against damage. This process, again, is hormesis, mild stress that leads to a more resilient system. Sulforaphane has been shown to reduce cancer risk, protect brain cells from degeneration, improve cardiovascular function, and lower markers of biological aging. Here's the key. Sulforaphane is most potent in raw or lightly steamed cruciferous vegetables. Overcooking destroys the enzyme that activates it. So if you're boiling broccoli until it's grey and mushy, you're losing most of the benefit. Eat these vegetables 3 to 4 times per week. Raw in salads, lightly steamed, or quickly sautéed. Even a few florets of broccoli or a handful of shredded cabbage sends longevity signals that ripple through your entire system. And then there's the food that every single blue zone population eats daily, without exception. A food that's often demonized in modern diet culture, but turns out to be essential for long-term health. The daily handful that protects your heart, brain, and metabolism. Nuts. Almonds in Sardinia, pistachios in Nicoya, walnuts in Ikaria. Every Blue Zone centenarian study found the same pattern. People who live the longest eat a small handful of nuts almost every day. Nuts are calorie dense, yes, but they're also nutrient dense. They contain healthy fats that reduce inflammation, plant sterols that lower cholesterol, magnesium that supports heart rhythm and blood pressure, and polyphenols that activate longevity pathways. Studies show that people who eat nuts daily have a significantly lower risk of heart disease, diabetes, cognitive decline, and premature death. The serving size matters. About 1 ounce, which is roughly a small handful or a quarter cup. Not a giant bag while watching TV. A measured, intentional portion as part of a meal or as a mid-afternoon snack. Walnuts are particularly powerful for brain health because they're high in omega-3 fatty acids. Almonds support blood sugar stability. Pistachios improve gut bacteria diversity. But the key is consistency. Daily consumption, not occasional indulgence. Now here's something that might surprise you. There's one more category of food, or rather the absence of a food, that defines Blue Zone longevity. And it contradicts a lot of modern health advice. Why centenarians eat meat only 5 times per month? In the Blue Zones, meat is not the centerpiece of the meal. It's a flavoring, a small garnish. In Okinawa, pork is used to add richness to vegetable stews, but the portion size is tiny. In Sardinia, meat might appear at Sunday dinner or during a festival. On average, blue zone populations eat meat about 5 times per month, not 5 times per week, per month. This isn't about moral judgment or dietary ideology, it's about biology. High consumption of red meat and processed meat has been consistently linked to increased inflammation, higher cancer risk, cardiovascular disease, and accelerated aging. Meanwhile, diets centered around plants, with occasional small amounts of animal protein, show the opposite pattern. The longest-lived people eat about 95 to 100% plant-based most of the time. When they do eat animal products, it's often fish, eggs, or small amounts of dairy like goat cheese or yogurt. These provide key nutrients like B12, omega-3s, and complete proteins without the inflammatory burden of large portions of red meat consumed daily. This doesn't mean you have to become vegan, but it does mean shifting the balance, making plants the foundation and animal products the accent. Beans instead of beef, greens instead of chicken, fish once or twice a week instead of steak every night. That shift alone, combined with the other foods we've discussed, creates a metabolic environment where your cells can repair, your immune system can function optimally, and your biological age can actually move in reverse. What this means for you starting today. Let's bring this all together into something you can actually use. Here's the framework that mirrors what the longest-lived populations do instinctively. First, time your meals strategically. 12 to 14 hours overnight without food. Dinner by 7 p.m., breakfast not until 7 or 9 a.m. This activates autophagy and allows your body to clean, repair, and reset. Second, make leafy greens a non-negotiable part of your day. Kale, arugula, spinach, Swiss chard, collards, raw in a salad or lightly cooked. These activate your longevity genes through beneficial cellular stress. Third, eat beans or lentils daily, a half cup to a cup. This stabilizes insulin, feeds your longevity bacteria, and provides plant protein without inflammation. Fourth, include cruciferous vegetables 3 to 4 times per week. Broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, cabbage. Lightly steamed or raw to preserve sulforaphane. Fifth, eat a small handful of nuts every day. Walnuts, almonds, pistachios, about 1 ounce. This protects your heart, brain, and metabolism. Sixth, treat meat as an occasional addition, not the centerpiece. Shift toward plant-based meals most of the time, with fish, eggs, or small amounts of dairy when you do include animal products. This isn't a diet, it's a biological strategy. You're not restricting, you're signaling. You're turning on the internal pathways that reduce inflammation, stabilize metabolism, protect DNA, and keep your cells functioning like they did when you were younger. The people who live past 100 don't obsess over health. They don't track biomarkers or read nutrition studies. They simply eat in a way that works with their biology instead of against it. And now you understand the science behind why it works. If this kind of root cause, science-backed health education resonates with you, consider subscribing. I break down complex research into practical strategies you can use to take control of your long-term health naturally. No extremes, no gimmicks, just what actually works based on the best evidence we have. Because here's the truth. Aging isn't just about time passing. It's about accumulated metabolic damage, chronic insulin elevation, constant inflammation, oxidative stress, a sluggish immune system. But when you address those root causes, something remarkable happens. Your body does what it was designed to do. It repairs itself. You don't need expensive supplements. You don't need restrictive diets. You need to eat like the people who actually live the longest. And now you know exactly how to do that.